Hello, this is Beatrice the High Priestess, and welcome to the Goddess Me Arise Simple channel. I wanted to go ahead and finish up the conversation that we were having prior in the last video. Okay, so let me go ahead and start back with the call. Okay, the soul, the spirit, it speaks its name, again, separated from the source. The soul is made up of life, of the breath of life, the sound, vibration, light, and shadow. So we are light and shadow, okay, which embodies the element of air. Now, talking about the name, and we got into the ancestors a little bit. A little bit of a side note. I want to talk about the N word used to describe um, what we are. So the N word was used to describe three-fourths of a human. And because of human trafficking, that is illegal, still illegal, we had to be classified as animals. Okay? When you use this accursed word, you bring about oppression upon yourself. Um, you bring in the pain, the torture, all those things that the ancestors and the elder ancestors, okay, had to endure, right? That are still stuck here and still stuck in this place, okay? Um, they feel disrespected. They will not help you. They will back all the way up. So you can have all the money in the world. You can have all the beauty in the world. You can have all these wonderful things that, are gifts, but they won't be solidified. So meaning that you can be super pretty, have all the money, and your husband will still cheat on you. Or, your friends will turn against you. Or something like that. You're drawing the wrong energy to yourself and activating the ancestors' pain, okay? Because they lost their name, they were considered chattel. And this is a big deal. This is a problem. And, they're still stuck here in that oppressive state, in that oppressive energy. And the people that oppress them, that enjoys the glee, that enjoys the pain that they experienced, are with them. Okay, so you're bringing the oppressor with you. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that you got that information. We got to be willing to tolerate difficulties to like arise along the way. Okay, intention between the mind and the heart is what gets us through. Okay, again with the ka, it's your soul's identity first. The subconscious and the conscious establishing knowing thyself in the spirit. For example, um think of like just things that are just are. You know what I'm saying? There's no explanation. There's no. They just are rocks, dirt, soul, whatever. They just are. Okay. Um, the second part, when we were talking about the mind energy, we're talking about, I think, therefore I am, works with logic in three parts, right? So we have rationale, we have the emotional, and we have wisdom, okay? The left side of our brain is simply here to keep us safe, figuring things out. It's analytical, it's not emotional, and it's for logic and rationale. It's like task and rule oriented. Okay. The right side of the brain is the emotional brain, where things just kind of like run out of control, where the emotions, if you will, have a free playground. They're just running out of control, and you can't make any good decision making while in the emotional mind. Okay, so understand that. So what we strive for is what's called the wise mind, and the wise mind is often described as the meeting of the emotional mind, as well as the reasonable and the rational mind, and synthesis, right, to consider both emotion and rationality. The more we reflect on what a wise mind has to say, excuse me, the more likely we are to do what works. Okay. So I wanted to go ahead and put that into place. Now, there are certain rituals and there are certain things that I teach only in the temple, but at least this gives you some kind of guideline. So if you decide that you want to do this on your own and search out the information, you have some kind of guideline. Okay, but I save that for the temple. Now, this is governed by the sixth chakra, the chakra that is about insight or blocked by illusion, and this is about balanced emotions to make the key, and that chakra is located right here in the middle of your forehead. Okay, now a couple of books to reference. When you're Kemetic is the Book of the Dead, the Book of the Netherworld, the Books of the Sky, and Going Forth by Day. Okay. Um, I want to talk about the journey of the soul now that we understand the mind makeup and all that good stuff. I want to talk about the journey of the soul. And we start with Ani and his mate or wife, who is Tutu, or she's called Henefe or Hennifer. It sounds like Jennifer, doesn't it? They were the first humans, okay? But he was also the first scribe to talk about the human experience, okay? So not only did he scribe his experiences through the journey of life, but also how to get through the afterlife, okay? Um, this is a story of a man and his wife on a dangerous and journey to the eternal life. And in the tarot, this is represented by the Fool card, which is 0, okay? And in numerology, the 0 is represented often by nothingness. So it's not a life path number or anything like that you can associate it with, but you can add that 0 in numerology to the end of other numbers to intensify the meaning, okay? Um, Starting a new journey is very important, but also in the tarot, with the Fool card, it's about starting a new journey in the positive, avoiding danger, and the unexpected. And the negative is about being reckless, overextending yourself, not understanding boundaries. And, it also has to do with a lot of rough starts, okay? Um, when it comes down to Kemetic doctrines, um, we talk about the afterlife in ideologies, okay? So the belief in the underworld, the eternal life, the rebirth of the soul, the underworld known as the Duat, right? Which I got taught from my grandmother's table. And let me just reiterate, my grandmother was an Ifa. I still have communication with her, but she has since passed, okay? Where I got that information from. So I just want to talk about that real quick. Um, when you're dealing with the Duat, this is the only entrance, okay, into the afterlife and the tomb of the deceased. Now, when we're dealing with that, understand that your heart gets plucked and weighed, all right? Ma'at is the scales, and so they pluck your heart, which is Anubis, plucks your heart from your chest, and it's put on scale, and it has to be weighed against a feather, okay, of the 42 laws of Ma'at and where you lay there. And remember, in the last video, I talked about purgatories, ergo rebirth, okay? And so when you're dealing with this, you have to understand that it's a serious situation at that point, okay? So either you have the opportunity to be reborn, or your heart gets eaten by Amit. Auntie Amit is nothing but justice. Okay, she's very ferocious. She doesn't play around. You know what I mean? So if your heart is not worthy, she eats it. Okay, and not only does she eat it, you know what I'm saying, but you're cast with her because she lives in the lake of fire, right? So understand that, you don't just get a pass, right? Now, there's very few cases where you're completely destroyed in the afterlife, and that's like people like serial killers or child rapists, things of that sort. So you have a choice. You can either walk into the lake of fire and be reborn, or you have to go into purgatory for a certain amount of time and then come back to be reborn. All right, so there is choices. Now, the weight of the heart is extremely serious for the duat and to get into the paradise, alrighty, of what's going on. All right. When I talk about my grandmother, or when she was alive, I want to talk about the Loa, the Liwa, and the Orishnas. People don't understand where that spirit actually comes from. So they be calling on Yamaya, they be calling on Ashun, they be calling on Agun, they call on Shango, you know what I mean? And not understanding where the base of this comes from, where the source of this comes from. And to put it simply, the Loa and the Haitian voodoo religion was a synchronicity between, being Catholic and Christian. Okay. And back in the day, when we weren't allowed to worship our own gods, and we had to convert to the Christian God, we had to make a way, in order to keep our gods present. Okay. Now, understand that this is based in traditional Yoruba religion, which is Christian. All right. So the Rishnas were the main deity when it came down to the the Yoruban religion. Okay. The Iwa religion, which is native to the Caribbean and Congo, and the Fon religion, which is the origin of voodoo. Many of the Loa are grouped based on where they originated from Africa or the Americas. The issue is that people don't understand what the Loa actually is and what the Orishnas actually are. The Loa or the Liwa are the spirits of voodoo. Spirits of voodoo. They usually originate out of Haiti, Louisiana, and opposed to the gods of the Orishnas in the Yoruban religion. Okay, they're not really the same. Okay, so the Yoruban word Alua, meaning Lord or God, a word used by Yoruban Christians for the Christian God. Okay, the one that came down, created everything. Everything was still, you know what I mean, until the breath of life was given onto them. Okay. Um, Let me give you an example about the Loa and the Orishnas. For example, we have Agun, and it's a direct counterpart of the Orishna Agun, right? The Yoruba deity of iron, right? The Loa Papalegua is often regarded as a counterpart of Isu. Isu is a trickster, okay, and a messenger, all right? And he's often regarded as Satan or like a negative energy, you know what I mean? And this is just because of misinformation and mistransformation, okay? Now, understand that these are Christian ideologies, right? That, were affected by, because of the islands, they were able to intertwine. Now, when we talk about the Yoruba religion, because there are many similarities of worship and traditions carried into Haiti and the Caribbean. One similarity is to have note that the Loa, as names of the jobs that they represent, similar to the Yorubas. For example, a blacksmith and a warrior who worship Agun, the god of iron, put Agu or Agun in their name. Okay? Because they were representative of that god. However, the Loa cannot be regarded as the same because they are not worshipped as the Orishnas are. So the Loa is the spirit, the spirit of our ancestors past, and the Orishnas are the actual gods and deities in their own right. Yeah, Maya, Oshun, Algun, Shango. These are the deities that have their own rights. They have their own worship. They have their own followings. Okay? So when we're talking about these things, to clean it up, I just want to make sure I clean it up. I wanted to make sure that you had the information about the element of air, our first breath, what life contains, how we're supposed to get through, to have a clear mind. All right. Now, just to note, I'm giving you a guideline and some information so you can research on your own. In the temple, this is where you get the rituals. This is where you get the information, the deeper information. So I'm paying homage to the gods, the goddesses, the Most High, the Maulisa, the feminine divine, by sharing the basic information. Okay? So again, if you are interested in the temple, I'll go ahead and link that in the description so you can do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Because it's not for me to seek you out. It's for you to seek out your own truth. It's for you to seek out your own well-being. It's for you to seek out your answers. So the only thing I'm giving right here is just some guidelines from my grandmother's table to yours. Alrighty? So I want to thank you so very much for looking at this video. Again, if you want to contact me or get a reading or get some information on the temple, it'll be linked in the description. So you'll be able to have all that contact information. I did say it in the last video, but I want you to be able to make your own choices, your own decisions, because ultimately this is about your life. This is about your afterlife. This is about your rebirth. All right? So you want to make sure that you're in a place where it makes sense to you. Alrighty. So I want to thank you once again for, checking me out. Goddess Mia Rise Temple. Again, there'll be information about how you can do it or contact us if you're so inclined to do so. Just want to say, as above, so below. Love, peace, and soul. You know what I mean? And we'll see you next time. Take care.